Welcome, welcome. It's another episode of Love's a Pitch. I'm your host, Carolyn Bergier. It's a podcast where we have queer folks come on and tell us why you, yes, you specifically, should date them or somebody you know or someone that you've ghosted or dated, whatever. We're just trying to connect people here. One quick announcement. I did cancel my April 30th Love's a Pitch live show in Brooklyn that I've been talking about. Had a lot of things come up, and instead I'm just going to be doing one big show around Pride. I think that's going to be June 20th, so keep that on your radar. But unfortunately, the April 30th show isn't happening, but I still encourage everybody to go out and have a fun weekend and make some connections, because that's what this is all about, right? Well, speaking of connections, this is someone I connected with for the first time years ago and do not run into enough. So really was a joy to get to hear what they've been up to and why you should date them. I'm here with Sagan Chen today. How's it going? It's been a while.
Hey, what up? It has been literal years.
Do you remember how we met?
Was it Clexacon?
It was Clexacon. I only
R.I.P.
asked that because sometimes, like lately, I've been running into people who I've known for so long or have like been in my orbit. And then I'm like, wait, I don't even know how we met. Like there's so many ways we could have met. But you, I remember meeting at Clexacon and you were very friendly. And that was my first Clexacon and I was very shy. I felt very lost. I didn't know what I was doing. I was there alone. And
oh, you were great. You like came up to the front of the room after the panel and everything.
Yeah. Well, you did great on the panel. Can you explain Clexacon to our listeners? Because I feel like a lot of people still don't know what it is.
I would love to. My explanation might differ from other people's, but Clexacon was basically a conference for like queer women and femmes in response to this like horrible barrier tropes trend that was like, barrier gays. Barrier tropes is a documentary that I did about barrier gays, if anyone would like to check it out.
Oh.
Yeah. And it was in response specifically kind of to what felt like the last straw, which was a character named Lexa's death on a show called The 100. I think it had a lot of buzz and a lot of people attended and they got some really cool people to show up and do some panels. It happens in Las Vegas, which is a wild, wild place.
Yes.
I hate Vegas. And let me tell you, I did panels there multiple years, but every year it was like, I was like, here for the gays, not here for the Vegas. I'm not a big Vegas fan.
I have to say that was my first time going to Vegas. And I liked it so much more than I thought I would. I thought I would hate, like, nothing about me should like Las Vegas. But I think I just enjoyed the spectacle of it. It's a really crazy place. It's so bizarre.
It's bizarro land. It's like social experiment gone kind of wrong land.
Yeah, like there's like an Ellen DeGeneres slot machine. Like what?
Yeah. They've got slot machines after like every random TV show from the 2000s. It's really bizarre.
Right. Somebody described Clexacon to me once as Dinosaur for nerds, and I really love that. I felt like that really captured the vibe, but that doesn't capture how it's like focused on, you don't have to be a nerd to be into queer relationships on television.
Right, because like a queer relationship should and can show up in any media, right? So I think that was like part of the appeal, was that like you could be a fan of like Supergirl, or you could be a fan of like Orphan Black, or
I was gonna say a lot of it's sci-fi.
Yeah. Now that I think about it,
the One Day at a Time panel, actually, I hadn't watched One Day at a Time because Netflix did no marketing for it, so I didn't even know it existed.
I love that show.
So I watched the panel and I was falling in love with these actors, with all the clips. Rita Moreno called in to Clexacon and was on speakerphone. And it was crazy. And I watched the whole thing when I got back and I'm like laughing, I'm crying at a multicam sitcom.
Yeah. I mean, I do want to credit, like, I hadn't really been a person who attended cons very much. I had like friends who did, but once I started doing panels at Clexacon, I think that actually really contributed to my understanding of like, I think it sort of expanded my idea of found family and queer community in a way that I like wasn't expecting. And the energy at a con is just so good.
Yeah.
It's
I
like
loved it.
everyone is there and everyone's defaulting, hopefully, right? Or at least this was my experience, defaulting to like such a place of support.
Right.
And, like, you know, it's like you see someone dressed up and you're like, I don't even know what you're dressed up as, but you're freaking killing it. You know?
Yeah.
Like, good for you. You did that shit.
Yeah, and it's like everybody has such a strong desire for like inclusion and representation, and I learned so much from it, and just learning from even just like creators at all different scales. You know, you have people who are working at big networks, you have people who have produced movies that have been in theaters, and then you also have YouTubers and people that YouTube is where their content lives. We are getting so off topic here. I just love the chance to. I feel like you run into so few people who know about Clexacon, so when I get the chance, and that's how we met, I thought it was appropriate. But let's get into your pitch. First, I want to ask you to tell our audience, how do you identify?
Oh, shit. Well, I guess that could be how I identify. I kind of identify as a piece of shit most days.
Stuff.
But like, hopefully in an endearing way.
You're reacting like it's a trick question, which sometimes I feel like it is.
Yeah. My name is Sagan. I use mostly he and they pronouns. I'm a Chinese American artist based in New York. I do a lot of film. I do TV when they'll frickin' hire me. I do a lot of theater. I do love theater, and I'm not moving to LA.
Love it.
Add that in my identification. I'm gender fluid. I'm poly. I'm 5'6" in the mornings. If you're asking me to slate, do a full body slate. Yeah.
All right. That's good. That was identifying for like somebody who's trying to sketch a perp. Like you've just given a lot of info.
Also currently, for those of you listening to the podcast and not watching, I kind of look like I think that I'm like cosplaying The Rock in the 90s. You know that famous picture of him with the fanny? This is it. And he has a chain like this. And also I have one earring that is a knife.
Okay. I love the earring. He does have a chain like that. And I also feel like I've seen him in black turtlenecks like that, like when he's trying to look sensitive.
Yeah. Well, here I am, sensitive boy.
All right. Well, you have, 1 to 2 minutes. It's really loosey-goosey. Tell our audience why you think you're a catch.
Well, when it starts with a maniacal laugh, you know you're in for something good. Okay. I'm a catch because I am totally willing to / forced into all the time winging shit. So right now, for instance, I'm winging it. Why am I a catch? Having to make a single choice will cause me to spiral for hours. So if you are a person who likes to make choices, I'm the one for you. I don't know. Like, I feel like I'm an artist, and I feel like being someone who knew they were poly, but like couldn't put words to it for a very long time, and knew they were genderqueer and didn't know how to, word that for a really long time. I think I like came at life from the other side of the thing, which was to like look at everything and be like, why is that a rule? Why is it a box that I gotta be in? And I think that's actually really informed my worldview. And like just like stepping outside and seeing the bigger picture, questioning systems, why they exist, who it benefits. I think I do things for the joy of like community. And I am not a great cook. I put peanut butter in my stir fry. My other thing was I was going to maybe just like text a bunch of friends and partners and exes and be like, send me your reviews and I'll read them live without reading them beforehand, like mean tweets, because I like mean tweets. But that didn't work out.
What do you think it would say? Like a review from, let's say, do you have a current partner?
I do.
So a review from a current partner and your most recent ex. What's the Yelp review?
A review from a current partner, the Yelp review. I have very substantial cheeks. Only up top, not downstairs, but up top. And I think that she likes how I care a lot and I get awkward like this. And I bring snacks. I'm a big snack bringer.
Ooh, what's in the lineup?
Well, it's just like, when you're on the way to see someone, it's like the bodega's right there.
Yeah.
The flower stand is right there. The fruit stand is right there. But I tailor my snack bringing, okay? I tailor my little like offerings, my little squirrel offerings. High chew is a big one.
High chew, okay.
High chew. We love a high chew. I just did a Trader Joe's run on the way back from work.
Ooh.
Trader Joe's snacks. They keep you guessing, man, with those snacks. I was like, what is this? All right, sure. I just grab it. Boyfriend points. Boyfriend points. Snacks are such easy boyfriend points, people.
Yes.
That's my advice for you.
I mean, I can be won over with snacks. I literally just started doing a sport where snacking is part of the sport.
Hell yeah. Or there's also that drinking game people do with Mario Kart. I was playing Mario Kart the other day with a roommate. And there's some sort of challenge where it's like you have to finish a White Claw in the time it takes you to do the race. Can you imagine?
No, I could not because I'm very good at Mario Kart. So
Same. We should play sometime.
Yes. You can bring the snacks.
Yeah. My therapist would say I'm too hard on myself. She would say I'm too hard on myself. I'm really here's one. I'm really good at forgiving everyone but myself.
I feel all that.
Yeah. I was like, now I'm sad.
Well, to make you more sad, what would your ex say about you?
I'm quite cordial with all of my exes, bar 1.5 of them, which given my number is like a pretty small, if you percentage-wise is pretty small.
Do you know your number?
Someone asked me this yesterday, and I was like, oh, no, I don't know my number. I think it's around, well, what are we counting here, And like, are we counting college? College is like a little bit of a... Have you ever told your number on the podcast?
No. I mean, my number changed a lot. My number doubled after my wife and I opened up our marriage. So
sure, that makes sense. I actually don't know what my number is. I know it's in the double digits and it's not in the triple digits. So there's a range.
There we go. I mean, I never get caught up about someone's number, and I don't ask people that I'm dating about their numbers. Like that's...
Oh yeah, I definitely don't either. I mean, it just comes up as a point of curiosity
sure.
like, later or whatever if you're talking about something or the other. But
yeah.
I mean, I'm just like, honestly, if you think about it, how many bedrooms have you seen? It's like, why would you be seeing so many bedrooms unless you were having sex with someone?
Yeah.
Like, how many bedrooms do you feel like you've seen in your lifetime?
I mean, in New York, I feel like some people, all there is a bedroom. So
that's very true. And now after the pandemic, I feel like on Zoom, I've logged visuals of everyone's bedroom.
Yeah, I've clocked them all.
Yeah. Gotten some design ideas. No.
How many partners do you have at the moment?
What a good question. I'm actually sort of...
What's the landscape?
The landscape is murky. The landscape is like Mario Kart, consistently changing texture and environment. You're on a bridge and then suddenly you're in the water and you're like, oh no, I'm in the water. But you're like, I can drive through the water. That's interesting. Wow. Who knew we were going to come up with a whole ass Mario Kart metaphor? This is amazing. We could probably really run this.
Actually. Yeah.
Yeah. Right now, comfortably got my own cart.
Okay.
Got a buddy that races with me. This isn't going to work. And another... We're not playing with computers, are we? See, this is what gets confusing.
I don't think so.
I have one partner that I've been seeing for a little less than a year. It was a showmance. Okay.
Do you have a lot of those?
I'm not above a showmance.
Yeah.
Yeah, I do. Well, not on purpose. Not on purpose, but this, okay. Since I was, I think, 14, and I'm not going to tell how old I am now, but literally since junior high, I think I'd always been seeing at least one person up until 2021.
Wow.
And then in 2021, I was like single, like truly single for like a year.
Because of the pandemic or?
Because of a breakup. And then I think that one was pretty heartbreaking. So I think actually I had never really experienced, and it taught me a lot. Like now my relationships are more intentional.
Yeah.
So that's good. But yeah, that one taught me a lot. And then I think for a year I like stewed in it and was in therapy twice a week. Yeah. And so now I think I'm like chilling. I'm like, all right, cruise control a little bit. I don't have to like, go bonkers bananas.
So when you say you've always had one person, like you always had someone lined up next?
Yeah, either that or like in college I was with someone that I knew from high school, but we didn't go to the same college, and so we were like open.
Yeah.
I'm also this is, I guess, a warning label. I also am like, I'm the guy who's like, I'll flirt till I'm blue in the fucking face, like you. I'll flirt till I'm blue in the face, but I'm not going to be the one to close that 25%. Like I'll give you 75% for years. But if you don't come to me and you're like, hey, this is happening, I'm chill there. I'm chill in that zone.
Okay.
For a really long time.
This is very important for people to know who are interested.
Yeah. And like, I love my friends.
Yeah.
I don't like, this gets into like poly talk, right? Like,
right.
I love my friends, and I would have sex with friends, but like not to turn it into like not a friendship,
Yeah.
Like if a friend and I were both like bored and sex sounds fun, like, yeah, why not? Like I don't necessarily see sex as like something that's inherent to a romantic relationship. But I'm also never going to be the one to suggest it. So good luck. I'm like the antithesis for this podcast. I'm going to end up being the like example of like, don't do this. Don't do whatever the heck happened here.
I think that there is a market for the goods that you're putting out there.
Great. Great. Fantastic.
What are some red flags in other people, like ones that are maybe a little bit more offbeat? So I know things, usually people say like, well, nobody who's a bigot, like clearly.
Sure.
But what's something?
That's a good question. Because my first instinct was to be like, when people are mean, even if you're like being mean about someone else in my presence, what is to stop you from being mean about anyone? Right? Like, if you have that, like, yeah, I don't like mean, and that's not really specific enough, but.
Are you on the apps? Like, is there something that is an automatic swipe left for you?
After I've described my horrible half-assed dating page, I am on a couple of them, I think, but I have never gone on like a date or had a substantial conversation with anyone, because I guess what it is like, I don't understand, like apps are asking us to be reductive about a person.
Sure.
Right?
Yeah.
And I don't know how to do that very well, I don't think. Because it's not even like, was I right or was I wrong? It's just like, I can't possibly be right, and I can't possibly be super wrong either.
Yeah.
My partner surprises me every day with something that she like says or does or whatever, but I'm really glad that I met her not through an app. Because do people ever talk about things like, he's like, thank God I didn't meet you on the app, or like looking at someone's like app profile after you've been dating them and being like, ugh, like that's not you. Like I sometimes feel like people just don't know how to sell themselves well. Case in point. Case in point. I don't know how to sell myself.
You mentioned in your pitch, in your well-structured, thought-out pitch, that you have a hard time making decisions or having to make choices. It made me wonder, what's your sign?
I shall report. I am a Gemini, Sun, Venus, and Mercury.
Okay.
Aries Moon, Sagittarius Rising. In addition to Aries Moon, I'm also an Aries Mars.
All right. That's a lot of information right there.
A lot of hot air. Not a single speck of dirt. No earth. No earth anywhere near.
I'm all earth.
Really?
Yeah,
I feel like we may have talked about this already.
possibly.
But I am surrounded by a lot of Capricorn energy. I think if I weren't surrounded by Capricorn energy, I would have flown off the fucking handle and yeeted myself out the window.
I mean, we love to make a decision, so.
Yeah, I think that's what it is. Well, most decisions are absolutely arbitrary to me. And also, maybe this ties into like, I'm not a huge fan, or at least I haven't been particularly successful in like hierarchy as well. I don't really quite understand it. And I think that has to do with like, that links into like, I don't know how to compare things sometimes.
Interesting.
Yeah, I'm really bad at comparisons.
So in terms of hierarchy in the poly world, then are you looking for different partners to kind of fulfill different needs and desires of yours versus like, oh, I'm attracted to this type and now I have like 3 of them?
Ooh, that would depend on who you ask. Friends have claimed that I have a bit of a physical type.
And what's that?
Don't make me. I love a femme with like good hair, probably dark hair. And I think I was in denial about this until this current partner. But I think I do like him a little bossy.
Okay.
And I think I was able to be in denial about that until this one. But like, never have I been more of a like bottom bitch boy. I've hit new heights. Or I guess hit new lows. If bottoms, whatever.
I mean, the actor-director relationship.
Are you referring to one of my ex?
Oh, no, I wasn't.
Oh.
But it could also refer to one of your exes that I know. But no, I'm saying that if you like to be bossed around, maybe because as an actor, you like some direction.
I like to be, it's not even direction because also, hilariously, I don't like to be told what to do.
Gemini.
I don't like to be, well, okay, sex, fine, maybe, sure, probably. But like outside of that, it's not that I like being told what to do. It's like, I love a guideline. I love a box, like a lightly guided structure, like gutters in a bowling alley, you know? You can play in here, but like, that's where we want to. You know?
Actually, I'm going to say that's your Sag rising because my wife is a Sagittarius, and how dare I say she should do anything?
Oh, yeah. I'm really oh, yeah. The moment you tell me to do something, I'm like, bet, never will I ever do that for you. Ever.
Or it's more like me saying that she shouldn't do something to a point where it's like, you shouldn't step on that fire. And she'll be like, you think don't tell me. I'm not a toddler. You can't tell me what to do.
I think most of my partners have learned that about me. And so when I'm like, literally can't make a single decision about like where to eat. Like I called someone yesterday and I was like walking down 6th Avenue and I was like, what do I get for lunch? And I was thinking Cava. I was thinking Chipotle. I was thinking maybe there's a McDonald's. Just salad is like kind of mid, you know, or whatever. And in my head, I was like, I want to go to Cava. And then she was like, she was like, you should go to Chipotle. And I was like, yeah, maybe I'll go to Chipotle. She was like, what's Cava? And I was like, it's Mediterranean, but Chipotle. Chipotle. And she was like, oh, that's better. Go to Cava. And I was like, no, I don't want to go to Cava anymore. I was thinking I was going to go to Cava, but then you told me to go to Cava, and now I don't want to go to Cava anymore. And then she was like, are you fucking kidding me? But then, like, joke's on her, I had walked into Cava. Really, it's really chaos brain up here is what I'm trying to say. But, like, that's a completely arbitrary choice.
Shifting gears. Well, I mean, this does involve making decisions. What's one of the best dates you've ever taken a person on?
First of all, bold of you to assume I've ever taken anyone on a date. Just after I professed my like new bottom boy status. But it's true. Up until like I've always been like, I'm a top. You know, I just took the partner whose apartment I'm in, for Valentine's Day. I'm not a Valentine's Day guy, but for Valentine's Day, I took her to a screening at Lincoln Center of this documentary called Fire of Love, because she's a big documentary fan. Have you heard of this documentary?
I haven't.
These two French volcanologists from the, I don't want to F this up, 80s question mark?
Okay.
I might have F'd it up. But there were like these two people who study volcanoes that fell in love because they both studied volcanoes and just like traveled the world studying volcanoes together and then died in a fucking volcano.
Wow.
And they have 200 plus hours of incredible footage because they were like stupid daredevils about it. They would just like walk right up, and just be like, I'm going to film this.
Yeah.
I'm going to get closer. And they really traveled the world. And it's really, really cool documentary. I mean, some of that footage is unreal.
That's so romantic.
Yeah, dying together in a volcano. So that was nice. And they made it like a nice screening. And then we went to a dinner afterwards. We did something earlier that day, I think, as well. But yeah, I don't know. I'm not super great at the like big gestures, because the moment this is what it is, right? Is the moment you're like, make it a date. Then I'm like, no, I'm not going to make it a date. But it's like all the time. I'm like, hey, do you want to go like do this fun thing and then go to dinner? Or like, hey, I was thinking we could go to this fun place or whatever. But those I don't know. I don't feel like those are dates.
Yeah.
I'm probably wrong. I don't like categories either. So defy categorization. Really chaotic.
Why won't you ever move to LA?
Because everyone says like kind of expects that I should, I think is part of it.
I'm seeing a pattern.
When are you going to do it? I'm like, never, now that you've asked. And I love New York. I really love New York. And I love the theater scene in New York.
Yes.
And I think that like, in addition to having an incredible queer community in the city, the theater community is also unbeatable. And it's like taken me years to cultivate. And it's very scary to me, the idea of going to LA. Although I'm a big fan of change. I'm like hugely adaptable, probably too adaptable, actually, my therapist would say. But so I don't think it's like the change that scares me. I think it's the like starting over and not having community that would scare me a little bit.
Yeah.
Also, like, people spend so much time in their cars.
Yeah.
Trying to find parking.
Yeah.
Bonkers.
There are a lot of good reasons not to move to LA. I was just curious what genre yours were.
Do you like LA?
The first time I went to LA, I liked it a lot. Similar to Vegas. I liked it a lot more than I thought I would. And then I also was like, why do I live in this garbage city that is New York? Here, everything is beautiful and sunny, and the weather is great, and the vibes are great, and I love it here. And then I tried doing some stand-up comedy shows, and I was like, take me back to New York immediately.
I feel like, sorry, LA, this is not going to be nice. I feel like when I went to LA, I was like, oh, this is like a weird Instagram influencer simulation that I didn't like sign up to participate in. Sometimes you go to a restaurant and you're like, I simply want food, but it feels like I have to like be here.
Yeah.
I
guess too, because when I go, I'm seeing friends that I don't hang out with much. So I always thought like, oh, LA, everything's going to be like so superficial. But then when I go there, I'm just hanging out with people I like. So that makes it nice.
Yeah. True. I also like the fact that not everyone is in the industry here.
Yes.
You sit at a bar and you're like, what do you do? And they're like, I don't know. I actually don't remember the last time I did that. Went to a bar and
ask someone, what do you do?
Yeah. Well, because aren't you not supposed to do that? Isn't that boring?
I was going to say, I stopped asking people what they do. I like try to set it up. So sometimes I get so curious and I try to wait for them to volunteer it. But two things shaped that. Like one thing was I had an ex who was unemployed a lot. And that she hated being asked, what do you do?
Question.
Yeah, because it's like to a point where she wouldn't want to go out or she was going to meet new people because she didn't want to have to keep telling people that she was in between jobs.
That makes so much sense.
And then also one time somebody I worked with was saying like, yeah, this person like right off the bat just asked me what I did. And it's like, why are you so nosy? That's so rude. And I was like, is it rude? I would hate to be rude. So I just stopped asking. I was like, I didn't know this was a thing that people think.
I feel like my general go-to when I'm like meeting a stranger is I'll just be like, what did you get up to today? And like, you can choose to offer me like silly little day-to-day details that I love to hear about, you know?
Yeah.
And it's like, I always make my iced coffee with honey in the morning. Oh, that's cool. Like, that's just like a cute little fact that you can talk about. Or like, people can choose to offer what it is that they do, or they can choose not to, or they didn't work today and it doesn't matter because work doesn't mean everything. Fuck capitalism. Okay,
Right,
anyways.
right.
like I went to my silly little day job this morning and like, I didn't think anything of it after I left, you know?
Right. Like you don't want to talk
And like,
about
it doesn't matter. Yeah, it doesn't matter what I did those hours, to be honest, for my personal growth or whatever.
Yeah.
So.
I just changed it to what do you like to do? And I feel like that can be more interesting than what do you do? It feels more loaded.
I also always just end up talking about like TV and film and
yeah, things you're passionate about.
Yeah. And you can tell a lot about a person if they liked certain movies or
yeah, why don't you say like what are some tops for you right now? Like a top movie you'd want to recommend, a top TV show, and a top show that's like running in New York at the moment.
Oh, well, I mean, I have been pretty vocal about everything everywhere all at once. That's an easy answer, I feel. But that just so happens to be like I really feel very strongly about that film for a lot of reasons. And I also this current partner, I wouldn't let her watch it on streaming. I was like, you have to watch it in the theater.
Yes.
The first time.
Yeah.
Like, don't watch it on, your iPad or whatever.
No.
I felt pretty strongly about that. TV, I'm a little contrarian also in that, like, when people are like, this show's so good, I'm like, I'm not going to watch it. So this partner has convinced me in the last year to start Game of Thrones. Never watched it.
Don't.
To start Succession. She's going to start The Newsroom recently. And like, I truly hadn't watched a single episode of Game of Thrones until this year.
Yeah.
Comedies. I feel like since the pandemic, I've gravitated towards comedies because I just can't. I need some levity. I also love The Magicians. That's a deep cut.
Okay.
Did you ever watch that show?
I didn't, but I know what you're talking about. Yeah.
I always called that show the best show that no one ever saw. But that's a kooky show. Take an edible and watch that show. That show's great.
All right. And then theater?
Oh boy. I see a lot of theater. Recently, I took my partner she's Indian. I took her to Public Obscenities last night at Soho Rep, which is beautiful. Wolf Play is beautiful. The Trees just closed, but that was beautiful. Lots of queer happenings in theater, and not just queer as in like subject matter or characters. Like, I think that what's really cool about theater that's not really happening in film and TV is that people are queering the form. Like, I'm a big believer in the word queer as a verb, right?
Yeah.
And like thinking outside of the box and subverting expectations and norms. Like, what are norms? Bleh. So like, I'm a big fan of like some of the stuff I've seen in theater lately and being like, that's the queerest freaking thing I've ever seen. And it's not even about the people, the characters or whatever. It's just like, that was weird.
Yeah, you're not talking about Melissa Etheridge on Broadway. You're talking about...
No, I'm not a big Broadway guy. Oh, I took her to see Broadway for her birthday because she likes it.
Well, I mean, it sounds like you and your partner are doing a lot of fun things together. So I think that's a selling point.
I'm generally pretty, like, I'm down to do anything. Also, like, I love these weird little... The city is also good for that. Like, go fucking do archery or, like, barcade or take a baking class or something.
Go learn how to put peanut butter in stir fry.
If you do peanut butter and sriracha...
I mean, it makes sense to me. When you said that, I was like, that sounds like a great idea.
Yeah. Yeah, and I lie to myself and say it's protein, I don't think it's protein. No one called me out on that. Although that's the one thing I get called out for on this that's fine with me.
All right. Well, who would you like ideally to be sliding into your DMs? Do they have to be New York based? Genders, sexuality, age range, how familiar they are with the world of polyamory?
Oh, this is getting into the nitty gritty. Okay. I think I am ready for having conversations with like other people who have practiced polyamory in some way, shape, or form. Not even practically, but like because I think sort of quickly in conversations with people about polyamory, you can kind of tell like what direction they're coming at it from. Like if it's from the like, yeah, I always kind of was like confused by monogamy, or if it's like you have a lot of thinking to do about how to decenter monogamy in your like thinking process, because those are two very different conversations. Like
Yes.
I don't experience romantic jealousy as a concept, and I never did. So when I was like growing up and dating and people like tried to use it as a tactic or a manipulation, it would go straight over my head because I wouldn't understand like why I'm supposed to be upset about this thing that I'm obviously supposed to be upset about, or like,
Right.
if you want to go spend time with this person, who am I to stop you? I don't know. Anyways. So yeah, I am also very experienced in talking with people who have never practiced polyamory before. I don't know. There's some good books out there. Actually, if someone wants to DM me with some good books they've read on polyamory, I would love that. Age range? Mid-20s? Up to... I don't know. I decay. Oh, I don't know if they have to be based in New York. I kind of like the idea of having... I do have people all over the place, kind of, that I'm like DMing or whatever, and actors are all over the place as well.
Yeah.
So I feel they call that comets, right? In polyamory.
Oh,
I think that's a term. It's like,
okay. Yeah.
you know, if
That
I
makes
know I'm like
sense.
flying to Toronto for work and I'm like, I
Right.
have a buddy in Toronto.
Yeah.
Like it's like a comet, I think is what they call it.
Yeah.
Someone can correct me if that's not the case. I'm more of like a kitchen table poly kind of person. So I love an artist, I think. I think someone has to be really well versed in like speaking about art and have a lot of emotional intelligence. And just like a, I don't know, sense of fun. I'm not a very serious person.
Despite the black turtleneck, you are not a serious
this is
dude.
my cosplay.
Yeah.
I'm going to a con.
And are you looking for anything specific in terms of like the type of relationship, like friends with benefits, hookup buddies, or are you also open to something a little bit more serious?
I'm definitely open to something more serious. Personally, I am interested in like a little more casual of a deal. The only thing that makes me anxious about saying that I want something more serious is I don't necessarily mean that in like a relationship escalator type of way.
Right, right.
I do mean it in like an emotional intimacy type of way. Like I don't have that much experience like sleeping with total strangers. Like I don't know if I can completely
Right.
separate myself from like giving one shit about a person, you know? I have friends who are out here, they don't know this person's last name. They don't
Right.
give they don't care. And I'm like, that is great. Maybe I could do that. But it's not been my MO. Communication is key. Obviously, I'm trying to get better about buying communication as well and like sticking to my guns and sticking to my boundaries, figuring out how to have them and how to recognize them. I think is also a part of that some people don't realize they like need to work so much on.
Yeah.
Or be aware of.
Yeah.
You know? But every single person is literally different. Like that's why I'm poly. Like I'm never gonna fall in love with the same person twice. I'm not the type to be like, I like this type of person, and then I have like 3 of them. That's the thing you said earlier, right? The example.
Right. Yeah.
When I gave.
Yeah.
Yeah.
It's not like pink Yoshi, green Yoshi, blue Yoshi. I'm trying to bring it back.
Oh yeah, that's so good. Oh gosh, we should have brought that in more. Gosh darn. Yeah, it's not like I want a blue Yoshi, a green Yoshi, and a yellow Yoshi. Tanuki? That's a furry. Tanuki Mario? That's a furry.
Yeah. No Wario's. Too mean.
No Wario's. Wario's are a little rough. I always play as Inkling Boy.
Okay.
That's my vibe. And my handle is King Baby, so.
Love it.
That's where you can find me. I didn't mean to pitch my Switch thing.
Yeah, you can find Sagan on Switch. Where else? Where should people be finding you and shooting their shot?
Mostly Instagram. I will say the Instagram inbox is not very kind to me. It swallows a lot of messages, they say, as a disclaimer. But I'm on Instagram at sagan.chen, Sagan .chen. I do need to come up with a social media platform where my handle is Sagan like Carl, but I haven't figured out where. Maybe I'll do it on Lex. I don't know what I'm on Lex. What I am is on Lex. On TikTok, I am Inspiration51. That's embarrassing. That's a deep cut. That's like way back in middle school. I was like, this is funny. And I think for TikTok, because I didn't ever want my TikTok to be like a real thing. I was just like, whatever. But now I'm like, I don't know. I guess you can do that too.
Love it. Anything else you want to say to the listeners?
I'd like to say that I hope I feel the most overwhelmed by my chaos in the last hour or however long it's been, and that I don't completely overwhelm anyone else on this podcast. I'm generally quite friendly and would love to have a conversation anytime, except maybe in the bathroom. It's a little weird.
Love it. Thank you so much, Sagan.
Thanks.
All right, I had such a fun time catching up with Sagan, and actually after we ended the recording, I got to meet his partner, who was absolutely charming. But, you know, there is room for more, so if you think it's you, give Sagan a follow, hit him up, slide into his DMs, get that bottom boy energy. All right, make sure you are following us at Loves a Pitch, us being me plus the podcast. Follow me personally at TGI Carolyn. I'm going to be doing some more stand-up shows in the coming months, so if you want to catch one of those, check that out. You can rate and review this podcast at Apple Podcasts. Want to remind you that it is produced and edited by the wonderful Caitlin White, and the music is by Velico. Thank you so much for listening, and now I'm going to go play some Mario Kart, if you know what I mean.